Is there any genre in cinema as versatile as horror? You can take any kind of movie, make it spooky, and boom, you've got a wicked time. Horror comedy? Check. Dark fantasy horror? Check. Horror for kids? Check. Hell, you can even do romantic horror. I mean, that's basically just Dracula. With this in mind, it's no surprise that science fiction and the scary side of cinema pair together like an exceptional wine and an aged cheese. It's a storytelling style that comes with a plethora of terrifying concepts, such as speculative technology, cosmic deities, a general fear of the unknown, and plenty more. You barely have to do any work to make it frightening, which is why horror filmmakers draw from it so often. Unfortunately, that great connection between fear and sci-fi has oversaturated the market, leaving many hidden gems to be overshadowed by bigger releases. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie for What Culture here with 10 perfect sci-fi horror movies you've never heard of. Number 10, Anara. Space travel is something this generation is begging for, as the chance to go out into the far reaches of the cosmos and say, "We are here," is tantalizing at best and obsessive at worst. However, venturing forth into space isn't as simple or wholesome as many make it out to be, and this Swedish sci-fi horror explores why. Anara takes place on a spacecraft transporting humans from Earth to Mars in an attempt to flee the dying planet. Unfortunately, a potential collision with space debris causes the ship to veer off course, leaving it floating aimlessly into the unpredictable reaches of the universe. This film is a minefield of existential dread, as the claustrophobia of being trapped in an unknown place with people you barely know is unsettling, and the horrors of endless space present little hope for salvation. It's a well-crafted sci-fi journey that makes you question whether life is worthwhile when stuck in a liminal space, and addresses the violence and dangers that come with cabin fever, or more appropriately, spaceship fever. Number 9, Fried Barry. Have you ever taken a car for a joyride? The appeal of stepping into something that isn't yours and letting your instincts go wild is deeply relatable, whether you have or not. This bizarre yet captivating South African horror banks on that feeling, but gives it a nightmarish sci-fi twist. Fried Barry follows a chaotic odyssey as an alien possesses a drug addict, taking over his body and going on a journey of discovery in the seedy underbelly of Cape Town. You'll need to hold on to your seats when watching this one, as it's a bonkers film that throws subtlety by the wayside. There are gross-out sequences that'll get you squeaming, a twisted yet amusing sense of humour, and a compelling visual style that distorts life in a way that almost makes you feel like an alien in this world. However, perhaps the most impressive thing about the film is that despite its bombastic style, there's just enough heart and sentimentality to keep it grounded. It's shocking how drawn into Barry's journey you will be, and by the end you'll be questioning the surprising benefits of alien abduction. Number 8, Hardware. You are no doubt familiar with The Terminator. It's the story of a relentless machine trying to murder humans. But imagine if one of those robots lived in a post-apocalyptic world and had all the schlocky energy of a 90s B-movie. Well, if that sounds like your cup of tea, then you better get a mug ready for this bombastic sci-fi tale. Hardware tells the story of a woman's attempts to survive in her apartment as a cyborg head purchased for her by her boyfriend slowly rebuilds itself and goes on a chaotic murder spree. It's a terrifying survival tale with a relentless mechanical antagonist. The film gives you exactly what it says on the tin, opening with a slow build introduction to the ravaged world of tomorrow before launching into a tirade of murder and mayhem as the robotic villain tears people limb from limb. You better prepare yourself for some grisly visuals, as this movie is full of delightful practical effects that blend mechanical creations with blood-splattering gore. I mean, what's not to love? Number 7, Pandorum. Sometimes you can't ask for anything more than to take a collection of characters, shoot them off into an unknown place, and force them to survive against a petrifying enemy. 2009's Pandorum does just that, and it's the kind of movie any sci-fi horror nut must have on their watch list. The film is set on an interstellar arc heading to an Earth-like planet. However, things turn deadly after 2 astronauts awaken from their hypersleep, only to discover that a host of psychotic mutants have taken control of the ship. You'll certainly not get bored with this film if you enjoy movies like Event Horizon or Alien, as the tense survival horror combined with the gritty sci-fi aesthetic is like both those movies on speed. However, it sets itself apart thanks to its focus on space-based psychosis, otherwise known as Pandorum. Besides attempting to survive against the terrifying antagonists, the characters must maintain their mental fortitude, as breaking down could lead them into the same frenzied state as their pursuers. Number 6. Gouki, Body Snatcher from Hell. There's something so undeniably charming about the flying saucer early days of science fiction movies. Cheesy alien invasion stories from the 50s, 60s and 70s are heaps of fun with their dated visual effects and melodrama. But one you've almost certainly missed, especially if you don't watch international B-movies, is Gouki, Body Snatcher from Hell. This Japanese late 60s horror tells a sci-fi survival tale that pairs alien invasion with vampirism. It follows a selection of plane crash survivors who encounter an extraterrestrial threat that can take over a person's body. They attempt to survive as the alien possesses the plane's hijacker and turns him into a blood-sucking creature. This is a charming movie with a lush visual style thanks to its great use of colour and gruesome visual effects. The latter is most notable in the antagonist, who looks like an alien wearing a human bodysuit in the most uncanny way. It also throws caution to the wind with its melodrama, playing everything big and maintaining a consistently heightened energy. That's especially notable in the bombastic closing moments, which we won't spoil here. Number 5. Circle. The biggest endorsement you can give this low-key horror is that it takes place in one location and is almost 100% talking. Yet you won't be bored for a second. It's a tense mystery thriller that asks, what would you do in this situation? If your answer is anything other than cry and wet yourself, then you're one hell of a liar. Circle opens with 50 strangers awakening in a dimly lit room, forming 2 consecutive circles. They have barely any time to compose themselves before one of them starts getting killed every 2 minutes. From there, the group vote off who goes next until only one person remains. Naturally, if your movie takes place in one room, you'd better make sure it looks good. The production design on this flick certainly got that memo, as the oppressively dark and clinical set design creates a haunting aesthetic that suits the death game style. Overall, the dark premise, solid dialogue, social satire, and shocking ending make this a simple sci-fi treat that proves you don't need a massive budget or grand story to be compelling. Number 4. Mad God. Many people believe that animation is a medium only kids can enjoy. If you're one of them, then let's play a game. Go and set up a Mad God watching party with a bunch of kids and see how long it takes before they're all traumatized and you end up in jail. Spoiler alert, it won't take long. Mad God is a stop-motion horror that combines intricate animation with overwhelming ambition. It tells the story of a nameless assassin journeying through a nightmarish world occupied by gruesome monsters, a merciless environment, and godlike beings with immense power. The movie is experimental to the max, as it focuses far less on narrative cohesion than it does crafting multiple locations that will make you wet your pants in terror. You'll be witness to all sorts of cruel acts as horror lurks around every corner and life is treated with the same reverence as a kid crushing an anthill. It also goes without saying that the movie is a visual delight, so long as you delight in seeing disgusting tableaus of death, decay and debauchery. Number 3. Silk. Do you like sci-fi stories? Do you like ghost stories? Have you ever wondered why the two come together about as often as tequila and good decision making? Well, the concepts rarely meet as they are diametrically opposed, but there is at least one movie that combines the two. Silk is a thrilling tale of technology and spiritual activity. It follows the escapades of a crew of ghost hunters and professionals as they use advanced technology to capture the spirit of a ghost child and communicate with it. This is a film that lures you in with its slow pace before launching into an all-out assault in the climax. As you learn more about the child's past, you come to fear the danger the experiment is leading the characters into. The focus on technology helps this Taiwanese horror to stand out within the supernatural thriller genre, as paranormal haunting stories are a dime a dozen. That's not to say this chilling tale of ghosts and mystery isn't utterly gripping in itself, but it does give it that extra spice. You don't want to miss out on this delightfully niche genre combo. Number 2. Antiviral. Being the child of a famous filmmaker with a distinct style can be a death knell for a young director's career, but the compelling work of Brandon Cronenberg, son of legendary horror auteur David Cronenberg, proves that sometimes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His debut feature says that more than anything. Antiviral is a darkly satirical horror set in a world where obsessive fans can purchase the illnesses of celebrities to infect themselves with. An employee of the company selling these celeb viruses attempts to manipulate the system to get some money, but he gets unwittingly thrust into a dangerous conspiracy. This film is unapologetic in its scathing critique of celebrity worship. It perverts the concept of fandom to an extreme level, exploring a world where fans are so desperate to feel close to the celebrities they love that they'll make themselves sick in the process. Naturally, the flick also has some visceral body horror, as expected from the name Cronenberg. It's decidedly more pathological than the likes of Videodrome or The Fly, but its grotesque moments will leave you queasy nonetheless. Number 1. Spring. Sci-fi does body horror better than any other genre. Still, Spring is one that will really make you go fishing for the sick bags. The film follows a young American, Evan, who travels to Italy and unexpectedly falls for a girl called Louise. Things seem great at first, perfect even, but as Evan gets to know Louise better, he discovers that she is hiding a disturbing secret and is soon launched into a world of Lovecraftian horror and body mutations. Spring is brimming with disgusting imagery as Louise's secret boasts many stomach-churning transformations. However, if you think this movie is a one-trick pony, you couldn't be more wrong. Yes, it does disturb you with its creative body horror, but Spring also tells a compelling love story and explores beautiful themes about the positive sides of our own mortality. Even the legendary Guillermo del Toro called this hidden gem one of the best horror films of the decade on Twitter. What better endorsement is there than that?